That's number one. You kind of reset.
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
Same shoulder length, and the other. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Real Health with Brandi and Amir. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor, and Brandi is my other half, and she's the one with the perfect smile. So Real Health is...
Now I'm paranoid. Nothing is perfect over here.
Apparently 2 of the kids need braces, so I'm focusing on smiles these days.
Comes from my side. You're welcome, children.
I never needed braces. I needed a lot of other stuff. Anyways, I did have a retainer for 3 weeks.
Oh, well, see, I will not bear the burden of the cause of that then. So I'll give a little of that to you.
Yeah. So, and not that I have perfect teeth, but
you have pretty good teeth.
Yeah. I've never had a cavity.
I know. I'm aware. We're a little competitive in our household with everything, including that. So it's a little bit of a sore spot for me, but we won't talk about that right now.
The one with more cavities or the one with no cavities?
With no. Okay. So this is the only thing you're
admitting that I win. That's great.
Just once.
First time on camera.
Only time.
You are all witnesses. So Real Health is the podcast where we will look at all the latest articles in healthcare on the news, whatever's coming your way, latest research, and we will summarize the articles and read you what's important, and then we discuss it and talk about the wellness perspective on those topics and how you can apply it to yourselves. And our goal is always to help you always feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger.
Right.
So
this isn't about us telling you what to do. We're not big believers in just having somebody tell you this is what you need to do. But we really believe you need to dig in and ask questions. Yeah. And sometimes that means going below the surface, right. Whether it be an article, anything that's there for us, information wise, we just need to know, is that really what they're talking about, or is there more to it? And so maybe that's what we are. We're more to it people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this for over 20 years. We started the podcast less than a year ago, but we've been reading up on the latest research and articles for 20 years because we have to. We need to know that to take care of our patients, do a good job running our business, our clinics, leading our doctors and teams. And so we have to stay on top of this. So we figured might as well share it with everybody because we're doing it anyway. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. We have a lot of good topics today. Anything else you want to share before we jump in? How's your health journey these days?
My health journey is pretty good. I've had a couple of tough schedule weeks, so I haven't been able to hit all my workouts, which has been a little frustrating.
Yeah.
So I'd say
you had to stop short.
Yeah, I had to stop short so I could do some training. So those are weeks that historically in my health journey would have been like a problem spot that would have been a pitfall for me. So I would have gotten frustrated and kind of thrown everything and just been like, forget it. If I can't do it exactly how I'm expecting or have it planned, then it's just not going to work. So I think I'm in a season of adaptation. I feel like I'm better at adapting to, my schedule and what's going on. And then just knowing it's not about right this second. It's not just about right now. It's about the entire journey. So if I have a week where I don't hit all of my workouts, it's not the end of the world, and it's definitely not the end of my journey. It's just that week. Yeah. So I think sometimes things just become bigger than what we really need to make them in our lives in general. So if we kind of step back from it, we can put it in a better perspective and not have it be everything.
I think our audience needs to hear that because, for one, they probably think you're a superhuman and you get everything done because you're super mom, super businesswoman, super leader, super fitness. And, I guess, she missed one exercise yesterday in one of her workouts, so she's not perfect.
Well, it's funny because when people do ask often, they're like, how do you get everything done, between the clinics and I volunteer at the school and help with the PTA, and
She's the
we
president
help
of
at
the
church.
PTA. Yeah.
You know, things like that. And so people all the time go, I don't know how you do everything. And I'm like, first of all, let me just set the record straight. I fail every day. So there's always things I don't get done. I've just become a person where if I take on more, I also have to be okay if I can't accomplish everything, because I always bite off more than I can chew. Right, PTA ladies? Sorry, I drag them into it a lot. So I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But, you know, we if you manage that, then it becomes easy, and then you can
Mhm.
handle more. That's about being healthy enough to take on. So the point is, don't take on. She said she takes on more than she can chew, but not more than she can safely handle
Right.
with her health. Because if we see that her health is starting to suffer, or the most important things in her life are starting to suffer, then we back down. There's been plenty of
Correct.
times where we said no to certain things.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll jump right in. And this is big news here. And this is, you know, to some people, it may not come as a shock. This is from U.S. News. The title of the article says, COVID-19 no longer means 5 days in isolation, according to the CDC, our friends at the CDC. I think we have more friends in the FDA than the CDC, but
I don't know about that.
friends in quotes. We've upset a lot of people at the FDA, that's for sure. So this article says the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention changed its long-standing guidance, saying that people can return to work on regular activities if their symptoms are mild and improving, and it's been a day since they've had a fever.
So now we're going back to the old. If you've had a fever, stay home for 24 hours, right? That's
Sounds like the flu.
correct. And guess what, guys? If you're sneezing or coughing, it does not mean that you have to stay home any longer. They're wanting us to use our common sense again. So if you have misplaced it, please go find it, pull it back out, because it is common sense, right? If you are feeling so crappy that, you know, and you can't be far from the bathroom and there, well, then stay home, right? But if you have a cold or you have symptoms of a cold and you need to be out doing something, like you need to come and get adjusted, we take precautions. You know, we wash our hands and we do all those things. We clean between every patient. We've always done that. So you can keep your adjustment, because when we adjust the thoracic spine, it actually boosts the white blood cell count, which boosts your immune system. So there you go.
Absolutely.
So that's a great thing. But now we get to go on with normal lives and just start using that common sense we put away.
Yeah. I mean, literally, people have been terrified to sneeze or cough in public.
I know.
You know, even myself, like if I have to cough, I'll go hide somewhere.
And
So
for the
no one
record,
hears me
coughing can occur outside of illness.
outside of illness, exactly.
So-
all right, we are free to cough again.
Yes. Cough freely. Cough as you move
The
about
change
country.
comes at a time when COVID-19 is no longer the public health menace it once was. It dropped from being the nation's third leading cause of death early in the pandemic to 10th last year. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of people say those numbers were inflated anyways, and we're not going to get into that. Most people have some degree of immunity to the coronavirus from vaccinations or from infections. So at least they're admitting that the infection does make you immune.
It does create antibodies.
And many people are not following the 5-day isolation guidance anyway, some experts say. So there's a Dr. Mandy Cohen, who is the CDC's director, and she's explaining these things. Some experts worry that the change may increase the risk of infection for older people and others who are more vulnerable to getting seriously ill. COVID-19 is not causing as many hospitalizations and deaths as it did in the first years of the pandemic. The change is an effort to streamline recommendations, so they're similar to long-standing recommendations for flu and other respiratory viruses. Many people with a runny nose, cough, or other symptoms aren't testing to distinguish whether it's COVID-19, flu, or something else, officials say. Officials noted that some other countries and California and Oregon have eased isolation guidance in a manner similar to CDC's latest change, and they did not see an increase in the cases. The CDC guidance for workers at nursing homes and other healthcare facilities is staying the same, however. So that includes a recommendation that medical personnel stay home at least 7 days after symptoms first appear, and that they test negative within 2 days of returning to work. So some guidance has been eased up, but not for healthcare workers. There are still more than 20,000 hospitalizations and more than 2,000 deaths each week due to coronavirus, according to the CDC. Those 65 and older have the highest hospitalization and death rates. Seems extremely high.
Yeah, and really I wish we could change that wording, because most generally it isn't COVID that's actually causing the issues. It's the comorbidities of that patient, how
Yeah.
sick that patient already is, which
Yeah.
is why we're seeing that there's still more cases in, those sectors of individuals that have those comorbidities, or age is, comes into play. That's going to be anything, though.
So it's the way we gather data. They were at the height of the pandemic, they were testing people who would come in from a car crash. And if they tested positive, and we know the test wasn't exactly accurate anyways, but if they tested positive, that was the number one cause of death, not the car crash, just because they also had that. So I
Right.
don't know. And now, like you said, people with heart disease, people who have obesity, people who have cancer, they're much more susceptible to
Right.
even people who have overcome cancer, but they just had 10 rounds of chemotherapy. They're much
Right.
weaker and more susceptible to these things. People who don't have their spleen, or other autoimmune issues that are on immune suppressant medication.
Right.
People who've had kidney transplants and liver transplants, they are on
Exactly.
immune suppressants, and they're going to be very vulnerable to this. And you
Right.
can't really say, I wish there was data on
Correct.
secondary, hey, coronavirus deaths secondary to hypertension, secondary to obesity, secondary to.
But we didn't start reporting it that way,
That's
so we
true.
can't pick it up now,
That's true.
because we didn't even do that often with, like you said, with car crashes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Car crash was the first. That's the reason why they were there,
Right.
and then they were tested on top of that and had
Yeah.
COVID. That's a very different situation, so
When California eased its guidance, it encouraged kids to come to school when mildly sick. It also said students who test positive for COVID-19 but don't have any symptoms can also attend school. So very interesting how things have changed, and experts have come around. Next article is from Healthline. And the title is We did a TikTok one before. You remember cozy workouts, or what was it called?
I do remember cozy workouts.
Was it workout or cozy fitness or cozy exercise or?
Yeah, I think it was a cozy workout, because this was cozy workout. Cozy cardio.
Cozy
Thank
cardio.
you,
That's
Sean.
right. Yes. Cozy cardio.
And this would be an example of cozy cardio right here. Ready?
Yeah.
How was that for you guys?
Beautifully
I
done.
burned some calories there.
Beautifully done.
Thank you.
So, certainly we should turn to TikTok for most of our expert advice.
Especially on fitness.
Oh my gosh. Apparently yesterday there was some kind of cyber attack, and a lot of social media went down, including TikTok.
Oh, I did not
Because
hear
originally they wanted to blame the Chinese, but then they go, if TikTok also went down, it couldn't have been.
Correct.
Instagram and Facebook went down first, and there was parts of YouTube went down, Verizon, T-Mobile, lots of services. Interesting. And it just happened to be Super Tuesday. So anyways, now you know when we're recording this. Today's Wednesday after Super Tuesday. TikTok's obsession with magnesium. Is it healthy or hype? So I guess there's a lot of people on TikTok saying you should take magnesium. And this is very complicated because there's different types of magnesium.
Yes.
And different people need different types and different goals and so on. So let's see what the article says. From improved sleep to boosting exercise performance, magnesium is being touted. Is that pronounced right? Touted? Touted as a quick fix for various health issues on social media platforms like TikTok. Magnesium is an essential mineral necessary for numerous physiological processes in the body, including muscle and nerve function. energy production, and bone health. And our body does not make it naturally, so it must be consumed from dietary or supplemental sources, says Michelle Ruthenstein, who is a registered dietitian nutritionist. Magnesium's potential to aid in relaxation is at the core of the popular Sleepy Girl mocktail trend. The drink consists of a half cup of pure tart cherry juice, a tablespoon of magnesium powder, and sparkling water. That sounds like it'd be good. With many claiming the simple recipe can help people fall asleep more easily and improve sleep quality. The trend highlights magnesium's role in relaxing muscles and nerves, potentially calming mood, lessening anxiety, and improving sleep quality. So a 2023 systemic literature review suggested a link between magnesium status and sleep quality in observational studies. However, randomized controlled trials didn't show a specific correlation between supplementing with magnesium and improvements in sleep quality. Now, this is kind of, we battled this a little ways back, is there's a lot of mainstream media that likes to say that supplementation is worthless and it's not useful and all of that stuff. So that's the tone of this article as well. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of research that says magnesium's good for you, but we haven't really seen the results. And if it's on TikTok, it can't be valid, and be careful.
Right. Now, at the same time, we also have professionals saying this is a necessary mineral for certain physiological processes, and your body doesn't make it. So that means we have to get it in one of two places. We either have to get it in our food, or we have to get it through supplementation. Now, the reason why we don't always get it in our food is because our food sources don't always have the nutrients because of whether it be pesticides, or there could be a number of things that leach the nutrients from the ground. So as those plants, or as those, the foods are growing that we need, we're not going to be able to obtain the nutrients in the foods if it's not in the soil, which is why then supplementation is necessary if it's a nutrient that our body needs.
Yeah.
So and I don't know why that's hard for people to understand.
It's hard, but there's a lot of propaganda about how, because the FDA didn't regulate this and didn't regulate that, it shouldn't be taken. Only eat things that are FDA regulated. Where FDA doesn't regulate any supplements whatsoever in the United States. Other countries, their FDA does regulate supplements as well, and they ensure quality. So that's the fault of the FDA not stepping in and ensuring that quality is there. So you're going to have to do it. But whatever is approved by the FDA is because the manufacturer paid the FDA to look at it.
Right. I mean, the FDA has approved things that have the PSA chemicals in it. Those are the forever chemicals that are so highly toxic. And that's been okayed in our clothing, in carpet, in foods, in containers that we put our foods in, and it's detrimental, but it has been approved. So we have to ask ourselves, is that the one we want to follow, the one that is saying it's fine to put these horrific chemicals and to have those smothered all over your body, take it, ingest it, it's fine, but don't take this supplement, which is made from natural food, which your body already knows how to process.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is complicated.
I always recommend, if you're going to take a supplement, you already know FDA hasn't looked at it. So you need to see if it's been tested by a third party, independent third party organization, someone who's not biased, someone who doesn't make money based on the sales of that supplement. So if they do, and the better companies will do that, they'll actually go and pay a third party independent laboratory, say, hey, test my product, be honest, say if it's good or not. And if it's not good, we'll remake it. If it is good, then we're going to tell people that you certified our product as something good. only take supplements that have been tested and certified.
100%.
And
And I will tell you that majority of those that are on the market that you can go to a retail store and purchase, the odds are those probably have not been tested. I'm not saying all of them haven't, but it is very costly for a company to do that. And because they're not forced to do that, most of them will not invest that kind of money.
Right.
And so,
there's always this 1-800 number on the bottle. Call them.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, send me the independent testing you've done on this. And if they say we don't have any,
then look for another
don't buy it.
product.
Just, they're all on the shelf. Just pick them up, turn it around, dial the number. So another study of 46 older adults published in 2012 suggested that people who took 500 milligrams of magnesium daily for 8 weeks reported fewer subjective insomnia symptoms than those who received the placebo. Now, some people say it's good for muscle cramps. When it comes to workout-related cramps, nocturnal cramps, which is the kind of leg cramps that wake you up in the middle of the night, you've experienced that before. They're not fun. And cramps associated with pregnancy, there is little evidence to suggest that oral or IV magnesium supplementation will provide benefits. But there are plenty of people who swear by it. Now, people also take potassium for muscle cramps as well. Research from 2021 didn't find evidence magnesium supplements could aid in the prevention or treatment of muscle cramps. Additionally, research from 2020 suggests that magnesium doesn't prevent cramping in older adults, but noted that research is conflicting and needed for pregnant people. And some people claim that it helps with constipation. So magnesium can aid in relieving constipation by drawing water into the intestines, softening the stool, and promoting bowel movements. Magnesium citrate acts as an osmotic laxative, meaning it pulls water into the intestines, resulting in, this is the same dietitian speaking,
Correct.
resulting in increased bowel movements and facilitating smoother passage of stool. Then in 2019, a sample of a study of 34 female patients with mild to moderate, why did they pick only females? Do they have more constipation? Mild to moderate constipation indicated that magnesium oxide might help reduce colonic transit time or how long it takes something to move through your colon. Research from 2021 indicated that magnesium intake might lower chronic constipation. So there's plenty of evidence that says it helps with constipation. Excessive magnesium intake can lead to diarrhea or other adverse effects, obviously. And now, when it comes to mental health, a lot of people are taking it for depression and anxiety. More than 1 in 5 adults in U.S. live with mental illness, according to the CDC. Magnesium has been investigated as a potential component of treatment for mental health conditions, including anxiety and depression, and lower magnesium intake can be associated with self-reported depression in adults who are not in current treatment for the condition. Magnesium, including forms like magnesium malate, may support mental health by regulating neurotransmitters and stress response. However, further research is needed to confirm its efficacy in specific mental health conditions. Now, if it's a natural thing and it's not going to do any harm unless you take a god-awful amount of it and then all of a sudden get diarrhea, but then you took too much. Anyways, but there are many different forms. I can think of at least 9 different types of magnesium.
Wow.
So I thought maybe I'll add my little 2 cents on some of that. A 2020 study indicated that stress could reduce magnesium in the body and vice versa, terming it a vicious cycle. So basically they're saying if you're stressed, your magnesium will be depleted, and if you have lower magnesium, then you have trouble dealing with stress, which leads to lower magnesium.
Right. Chicken or the egg, right?
That's right. In 2017, a review indicated that evidence suggests magnesium could be helpful for subjective anxiety, but noted evidence, including self-reported data, is poor. And then there are people who take it for exercise performance. And the article says, because magnesium is directly involved in muscular function and energy production, magnesium status can affect athletic performance. Magnesium supplementation may decrease the accumulation of lactate, which is lactic acid, in the body and help improve muscle contraction, relaxation, allowing for improved exercise endurance. Research from 2021 indicated that some experimental studies suggest that magnesium administration can improve glucose uptake and limit lactate buildup in skeletal muscles, enhancing exercise performance in the process, which I would assume helps with diabetes as well. They're saying that women should take about 310 milligrams of magnesium per day, and men should take about 420 milligrams of magnesium per day. And they looked at some data from 2013 to 2016 that says nearly half of U.S. adults don't get enough magnesium. Well, there you go. Why are they being so, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Skeptical of magnesium supplementation. Do you take magnesium?
Yeah, it's in. I mean, in our supplements too, because there are individuals who can have sensitivities to certain minerals. We don't include those in the products of like our general multivitamin. We separate those minerals out so that we can give people exactly what they need. But yes, that is one of the ones that I do take.
It says for most people, dietary sources of magnesium should be the focus, and magnesium supplements therefore should not be necessary. And you get it from leafy greens like kale and spinach, seeds like flax, pumpkin, and chia, nuts like Brazil nuts, almonds and cashews, legumes and tofu, avocados and whole grains. Right.
And we agree 100%. If you can get your nutrition from your food, your food sources, that's what our body knows. It knows how to process that. So it's gonna take exactly what it needs. Now, if you don't know that your food source is clear and clean and free of the toxins so that you can actually get and utilize that nutrition, then the next best thing to do is then to go to a whole food based supplement source so that we're not getting, I 100% agree, a supplement that you go that is a synthetically created supplement, it's not going to be better than food by far. And that is one of the types of supplementation that typically get prescribed by a medical doctor. Mm-hmm. So there is a difference. If we're dealing with supplementation, we're dealing with whole food supplements. We know the food sources. We know they're clean. We know that they're going to be safe, and we can get what we need from that.
I agree. They're saying make sure you talk to your doctor before trying this magnesium supplement, especially if you're a person living with kidney disease, you're on medication, or you are pregnant or lactating. So, 50% of magnesium in the body is about 50% is found in your bones, and the other 50% is in your soft tissues. Less than 1% is in your blood.
Okay.
And so bone health is affected by low magnesium as well. So deficiency of magnesium, if your body is low, and this is not in the article, it's just me telling you what magnesium does, it can actually, because it helps with a lot of neurotransmitters as well as certain hormones like cortisol, it can cause tingling and numbness in your extremities. It can affect your rhythm of your heart. Extremely low magnesium, you can have arrhythmias, you can have high blood pressure, you can have muscle weakness or cramps, reduced bone density, migraines, seizures, fatigue. So, and we've seen a lot of people who actually take magnesium and they don't have as many migraines. So I think those people would say it definitely does work. Now, the things that can cause the deficiency would be taking diuretics. So if you have mild to moderate hypertension, the first course of action is the doctor gives you a diuretic, and diuretics can deplete your body of minerals like magnesium. Those of you on proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, you're not absorbing the magnesium properly. So that's going to affect that. Now, I don't know if you're still on that medication and you take supplementation, if it's going to help, because you're blocking the absorption of it either way. People on asthma, certain types of asthma medication. There's certain types of medication for atrial fibrillation, which is a heart condition, and birth control pills can deplete your body of magnesium.
Right.
If you're on those, watch that. Excessive exercise and sweating can reduce your magnesium levels, which is why a lot of athletes do supplement with, especially bodybuilders, hardcore bodybuilders. Poor diet would lead to deficiency, and long-term stress would lead to deficiency because of the hormones. Now, the types of magnesium, there's magnesium citrate. So this one's best for constipation because it's absorbed well. It's the most bioavailable type of. This one also does help with migraines. There was a study that said it reduced migraines by 42%.
Wow.
So that's less than half. But hey, if you get migraines a couple times a week,
Right.
now you go down to just one a week, that's a little better.
And if you can get that without the medication,
Right.
do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Then you've reduced that load on your liver by half. That's
Exactly.
huge.
Magnesium is supposed to kind of help relax blood vessels as well. So there's magnesium glycinate, and the one I take is the bisglycinate. And so this has an amino acid which is glycine in it. So the magnesium is bound to the amino acid, and it has a calming effect on the body. So it's for insomnia, anxiety, and it's gentle on the stomach, and it doesn't cause diarrhea. So this one wouldn't be as good for constipation, but this would be good for athletes to take.
Right.
Because you train really, really hard and you want your body to calm down so you get more out of your sleep, especially if you have trouble sleeping. That's a good one to take. I don't have any trouble sleeping, but I
No, you
want to
don't.
go. Thank you. So there's magnesium oxide, which is basically oxygen and magnesium together. This has poor absorption. It may, some people say, help with heartburn or indigestion, but the data is not all there. But this one does help more with constipation because it doesn't get absorbed as well. It stays in the GI tract and pulls water and helps bowel movements better. Magnesium chloride, one study said women with fibromyalgia can benefit from this one.
Nice.
It can reduce chronic pain in them, and magnesium chloride you'll see in topicals as well to help muscle aches and joint aches. Magnesium malate has a high absorption rate. It's gentler on the digestion. Chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, chronic pain, that's a good one to ingest orally, magnesium malate.
Now, which one do you think would be with, a lot of times they'll do like foot soaks, you know what I mean, with Epsom salt and magnesium?
That one is magnesium sulfate.
Okay.
Magnesium sulfate is Epsom salt.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
you don't ingest that because it doesn't taste good.
Right.
Will not be absorbed much from your bath either, but it's good for pain and relaxation. There's magnesium orotate, which helps digestion and heart health. So this is the one if you're worried about your heart, arrhythmias, blood pressure issues. But this one is the most expensive kind.
Okay.
Now the cheapest kind of magnesium is magnesium lactate.
Right.
It has a better absorption rate than magnesium carbonate, which I don't think they even make anymore, but it's not absorbed as well as magnesium citrate. And then there is, we talked about sulfate, which is Epsom salt, magnesium taurate, which is another amino acid, taurine. This one seems to really help with high blood pressure, preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure during pregnancy, and it helps improve insulin sensitivity. So there you have it on magnesium.
Nice.
I do like supplementing with magnesium. Some say you can take as much as 800, and some say you shouldn't take more than 80. But there are types that cross the blood-brain barrier, and those are the ones that seem to do well with migraines.
That's awesome. And just know, until there's a company that's going to benefit greatly, we're probably not going to see some really solid studies on these supplements that give us all the answers that we're looking for. We're just not going to see it until somebody is really benefiting monetarily in a big way that would need that study to support their production, manufacturing, or sales of a product. We're not going to see that. So just know you're going to kind of have to dig in. Luckily, this is a relatively safe supplement. Like we said, you can look and see.
The way medical research works is you submit a proposal for a grant, and then you get money for that research. And but someone has to be interested in that research.
Correct.
And if there aren't big corporations interested in research on magnesium, then you won't see too many research
Right.
projects. Well, let's do one more real quick. This is it was a little disturbing. This was in New York Times. Some pregnant women and infants received the wrong RSV shot. Doctors and pharmacists seem to be confused by the guidelines, and the brand names aren't helping. This winter, for the first time ever, there were 2 vaccines available to ward off respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, which is particularly dangerous to older adults and infants. Only one of them, Abrysvo, made by Pfizer, was approved for pregnant women, and neither was for young children. So young children shouldn't take the RSV vaccine. And by young, I think they're talking under age 2. We'll find, I think, the distinction apparently slipped by some clinicians and pharmacists. At least 128 pregnant women were mistakenly given the alternative vaccine, RSV. The names are very similar, Abrysvo and RSV.
Oh, that's very confusing.
This one's by GSK. That one was by Pfizer. And at least 25 children under age 2 received the vaccination. The Centers for the CDC has warned. Dr. Sarah Long, professor of pediatrics at Drexel University College of Medicine and an advisor to the agency, said she was blindsided by the reports. It is very upsetting that this should happen, she said. RSV has not been tested in pregnant women or children. Are you telling me they tested the other one on pregnant women and children? If this one hasn't been tested, I mean, really, like, we're literally taking pregnant women and testing something on them? I don't know.
I thought ethically that was not to happen.
Yeah.
Like, from an ethical standpoint, like,
I thought none of these were tested on women and children. I mean, pregnant women and children. And I wouldn't volunteer my kids.
no.
So it says, so information about its effects in those groups is limited. No serious harms from the errors have yet been confirmed, but the outcome was unknown in a majority of reported cases. And I bet you there's more than 128. The 128 were reported.
Let's look very closely at the verbiage that was used, okay? Because they did not say that things weren't reported, right? They said they were not confirmed, and that bothers me a lot. So this is why we go through these, because sometimes this stuff, it's not just a slip of the tongue. It's not just, oh, they just said that instead of that. There's often meaning behind it. So let's look at that. No serious harms from the errors have yet been confirmed, but the outcome was unknown in a majority of reported cases. So there have been reported negative outcomes. They have not yet confirmed the errors or the issues, and they don't know the longevity of it yet. And so I like how it was glossed over.
Well, do you know why? Do you know why mainstream media is so hesitant to say anything negative about any pharmaceutical company? Is because 70% of their funding comes from pharmaceutical ads.
Well, there you have it.
So can you imagine if 70% of your income was dependent on this one person,
Right.
you'd never say anything bad about that one
Right.
person.
Right.
And you'd be very, very careful
About
to word things so that no one assumes anything wrong.
Right.
It says, based on available data, Dr. Long said she was more concerned about the young children who received an RSV vaccine than the pregnant women who received RSV or their babies. Evidence so that she wasn't worried about the unborn babies.
Nobody is.
Evidence from animal testing strongly suggests that RSV might exacerbate RSV infection in children younger than 2 rather than mitigate it, according to the FDA. So the FDA says if you give it to 2-year-olds, they'll actually get the disease instead of be immune to it. Which means there's probably a live virus in there, but I'm speculating. Don't quote me on this. To prevent that, the CDC has recommended that the children who mistakenly got either vaccine also be given nirsevimab, which is sold as Beyfortus, a monoclonal antibody that provides strong immune protection while the RSV season lasts. So if they accidentally, if a 2-year-old accidentally got an RSV vaccine, they need to be on this monoclonal antibody drug. Up to 80,000 children under age 5 are hospitalized with RSV infections each year in the United States, and the virus is a leading killer of children worldwide. So I would assume children in the U.S. are not dying from RSV because they would have given a number about that in the U.S. But 80,000 being hospitalized, we don't like that. I don't like children being hospitalized, 100%. Obviously. In 2022, GSK halted clinical trials of a version of its vaccine in pregnant women after a safety review indicated an increased risk of preterm birth. The company has also found an increase in neonatal deaths, but it said they were consequences of the preterm births. So they're saying the vaccine didn't kill the babies. Them being born early is why they died.
Right.
But the vaccine caused them to be born early. We'll let you decide what that means.
I'm not even going to comment on that
Thank
because
you.
I don't know if I'll get to stop.
In
Go ahead.
Pfizer's trial, Abrysvo also showed a slightly higher risk of preterm birth up to 37 weeks of gestation, but the increase was not statistically significant. So not enough people had preterm birth for it to be significant. People did, just not enough. Still concerned about the possible risk of preterm birth, the FDA approved Abrysvo only for pregnant women between 32 through 36 weeks of gestation. Why not 32 through 40?
Right.
What's wrong with the last 4 weeks?
Right. Well, we don't find that it's, I won't say everyone, but I can tell you from my 3 pregnancies, especially on our second, which we had full placenta previa. So they wanted to take the baby very early, and I wouldn't let them. So they wanted to take him prior to 36 weeks or right at the 36 week mark. And I said, absolutely not. And they're, of course, were afraid that I would go into preterm labor and, hemorrhage. So I made an agreement that I would stay close to the hospital on my last several weeks on bed rest, which I wasn't very good at. But I would allow them to take him a little bit early before 40 weeks. And what they said is they go, a week or 2 doesn't matter. People, a week or 2 matters tremendously, even at the tail end of, a pregnancy, that they're gaining extra fat to help keep them, healthy and strong, and their organs are still developing. There's so much that's going on. The babies come out when they're ready. Granted, there are times when they're not coming out when they should, and then maybe some assistance needs to be there. But technically speaking, 42 weeks is full term.
42, yeah.
So we like to take very early. And ladies, I've been pregnant 3 times. I fully understand, especially as you get to the end. It sucks. It is not the most enjoyable experience, although what we're creating and what we're getting ready to bring into our families is huge and exciting. But it is hard for that weight at the end.
Yeah.
But if we can keep them, as long as we can keep them in, I mean, it is better for them for sure. So
yeah. We're running out of time here, but I wish there was explanation on why we can't give it to children under the age of 2, but we can give it to them before they're born. Because it
Right.
says the goal is to produce antibodies in the women that can be passed to infants, protecting them immediately after birth. So
Right.
maybe they believe that the antibodies get produced by the mom, and the mom gives just the antibodies that were naturally produced to the baby, and that's why it's okay.
Right.
But we know they share blood.
Right. So sometimes they'll say that pharmaceutical doesn't pass like the placental barrier
Right.
or whatever the case may be.
And let's hope that's the case.
Let's hope. But I wonder if that really is the case a lot of the time. I will say, I really do feel like if we did one thing different, we would not run into some of these issues where we're doing the wrong thing. And that is pull out the insert that comes with the vaccine that has all of the risk factors and contraindications. please hand it to the patient before they get stabbed or stuck or whatever you want to call it, before they get the injection. Let them read it, let them sign and initial their consent so they can say, I am okay taking that risk on. I am okay. I want the therapeutic benefit regardless of the risk. You 100% have the right to make that decision. I don't agree with giving somebody an injection without allowing them to know what the risk factor is. And you can't put anything in your body without there being a risk, whether it's positive or negative.
If they had done that, maybe they would have seen that this one is not right for pregnant women. Do not take it. They would have
Correct.
seen that and go, oh, wait a minute.
Are you sure I'm supposed to take that?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I want somebody double checking. That's called a safety net. Give me a safety
I
net
don't
any day of the week.
Yeah, I don't let things go into my body or my family's bodies
checking.
without reading everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not anti drug, whatever, but I am pro safety, and we need to be
And
cautious.
pro education.
We get one body; it's supposed to last us our whole life,
Right.
and anything we do can either increase our lifespan or reduce it.
Yeah, we take way better care of our cars and our homes most generally than we do our bodies. Like, and all of that's replaceable. But this, although yes, there are parts that feel replaceable now. We replace joints, we replace hips, we do all that. But what if we didn't have to? That would be kind of nice.
No,
Think
it
of the
would be
money, the
nice.
time, the energy we'd save.
So, I mean, I won't read the rest of it, but it talks about how they want to, now the CDC is saying that if you're pregnant and you're between 32 and 36 weeks gestation, and it's between the months of September and January, then and only then you should get the vaccine. So it's getting narrowed even more. And those administering the vaccine may have been confused in part by the similarity of the two names, and pediatricians' offices, which typically administer vaccines, should not have had any in stock anyways.
Yeah.
So we don't know how they ended up getting them.
Yeah, so this is why we need to read this information, because our doctors don't always
Yeah.
have, believe
Right.
it or not.
So it's March now. So it's past RSV season. So if your doctor is, and you're pregnant and you're 32 weeks pregnant, and your doctor says, okay, now we're going to give you your RSV vaccine, now you know that if it's past January,
It's not recommended.
it's not recommended by the CDC or the FDA, and so you shouldn't do it.
Right.
That's what they say. That's not me saying this.
Right. That's
That's
not our
what
recommendation.
That's what the agencies are saying.
Right.
And-
So make sure your doctors have that information.
100%.
You know, they might be actually very thankful that you've brought that to their attention.
Hopefully. I mean, I know that there's a lot of
I would be.
incentives, financial and otherwise. We'll leave it at that. Good show.
Great.
Hope. Did we depress you? You don't have to quarantine anymore after COVID. So yeah, you're free, and you can cough in public. So we can celebrate. Thank you for joining us. Tune in again. We'll be back in 1 week with more stuff. We got great stuff coming up. Good
Exciting.
articles that we can share with you. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you soon.